I just summarize the current medical approach to type 2 diabetes as keep diabetes stable. Now, someone would listen and say, well, what is wrong with that? I mean, isn't having diabetes stable good? Like, well, listen, like, having type 2 diabetes stable is way better than having type 2 diabetes uncontrolled, like, obviously. Uncontrolled type 2 diabetes, called the silent killer, right? You can't really feel it, but it's damaging the body all the time. I mean, it's awful. Don't say that I don't think type 2 diabetes is awful. I mean, I've worked with, thousands of people on dialysis, having their limbs amputated, heart attacks and blindness. I mean, it's a terrible thing. And of course, having type 2 diabetes is, say, controlled, get the A1C under 7, is great. The fact that we can do that, get your A1C under 7 for incredibly large periods of time using medications, is a miracle of modern society and of science and medicine. It is a miracle. I can say that. But there's something better, right? There's something much better. And I think we should have our mind open enough to say, why not explore the possibility of better? What would better look like? Better looks like a vision, make diabetes unstable, but unstable in the right direction, right? Not unstable as in out of control, but unstable as in going away. Like, why should we settle as a health system, as people, as human beings? Why should we settle for mediocrity or just getting by with this condition? Like, sometimes I sit around and I think, did you ever watch WALL-E? Like this dystopian vision of, humanity just wheeling around on automated things, drinking sugary beverages. Like, this is kind of like how a commentary on our society, right? Like, what kind of society do we want? And what is the role of the medical system in our society to, like, guide us towards something better, and beautiful and awesome. And the health system is such a dysfunctional morass of a place, and like everybody stressed out and unhealthy. And it's just dishealth everywhere in our society. And then the health system itself is so discouraging, and it doesn't offer a vision powerfully of a way out of this. And I mean, my whole life in medicine feels like this sword of Damocles hanging over everything, And I think we should make health exciting, We need a compelling, positive vision of health. And we need healing to be a part of that discussion. I really think it's possible if we found a way to sufficiently connect with people that we can really turn around health. Like, all the depressing statistics, all the trends that are going so badly, I would like to see them reversed, in my lifetime. Is that too much to ask? That we turn this whole thing around and bring health and healing to our society, to our communities, to our friends and family, to ourselves, right? It just starts here. Like, we just bring it down. the solutions to these things. The way to do that, it's not legislation. Like, it's not electing certain politicians. It's not anything like that. It's embracing the natural practices that have brought metabolic health to humanity for as long as there have been people, right? Type 2 diabetes, the thought I've been having lately, I put a video on this, shattered diabetes and weight paradigms. You know, the shattering paradigm, you know, I would say is stop even thinking of type 2 diabetes as a disease. Like, I'm not going to sit around and argue with someone about whether type 2 diabetes is a disease. I just talked you through, okay, it's a terrible condition. It causes tremendous death and disability, and I hate it, and I want it to be gone. I mean, I would see a vision of like eradicating this condition from our society. But the medicalization of our lives, the diagnosing of disease, the labeling of it, like you tell someone you are diabetic, you know what I mean? Like you are this, like the system, it just institutionalizes people, and I feel like it traps them in this self-defeating paradigm where it's like you can't escape from it. You go to Google, it just tells you you can never cure it. You can never get out of it. It doesn't matter what you do. And even the language that the Google uses, right, in this, like, in some cases remission is possible, but don't think that even then that you're in a better spot because, you know, like that sort of thing. Like, what does cure mean, you know? If we can't use it with that, where it's like, if you have no observable manifestation of the condition in your life, can we not call that a cure? Is that not good enough? Like even in our society, if that happens to someone, we don't let someone say you're cured. No, you're just in remission. Really? You know, like, what is this condition? This is why I say, is it even a disease? And this is just a thought I had. I'm not pronouncing like, oh, it's not a disease, but I'm just saying, is it really? Just can we think about it? If we open up our mind to it, I say, well, like if I was just coming to this process, I knew nothing about it, beginner's mind. And I say, you know, in 1950, in the United States of America, most people lean and healthy, and a tiny fraction, a couple percent, have blood sugar problem. And the general amount of people, you know, healthy metabolically for most of their life. And then we flash forward today, I gave the statistics in the screen, up to 80% of people over age 65, pre-diabetic or diabetic. Say, holy cow, like what has happened here? What has happened? I see people online, I mean, on, you know, TV even, doctors who may or may not be getting paid by GLP-1 manufacturers say obesity is genetic. Like, okay, has the genetics of our society deteriorated over 2 generations? Is that what has happened? Or are we actually the same human beings, just like everyone else, and we're in like a totally crazy, you know, dietary lifestyle framework? Like, this is what I resonate with, definitely the latter. And so I look at this, I say, this is a dietary phenomenon. It's much more than a disease, right? To label someone as a disease, to say you are type 2 diabetic, this is like your existence. You are it. Like, no, you're a human being, you know? You are strong and capable, and you are in an abnormal culture. You're in an abnormal food environment, an abnormal physical environment. Like, this way that we're living in this society is creating the manifestation that we see with blood sugar, right? We all live in cities and we all drive cars around. We don't really move our bodies. We can't walk to places. And the food that is just pumped at us all the time is highly refined. It's, you know, got all kinds of chemicals and stuff. Like, in that environment, now we just label you. We say, oh, you're a type 2 diabetic. It's like, it's your fault. This is like your being. No. Like, it's that whole mindset is so negative. Like, I want to, like, let's not even think about that. Let's stop labeling people as diseased. Let's start opening people's mind to saying, like, you are a human being and you have the capacity to heal and you have the capacity to change and make decisions and take actions that change your environment, that push back against all of this. And as you cut out all the processed food and you open up fasting space and you move your bodies in healthy ways, okay, this condition, like this disease, if you call it that, it can disappear. It can go away. This is why if I was just coming to it, I would call it a dietary phenomenon or a dietary and lifestyle phenomenon. When you're a human being who is placed into a certain type of an environment and you act in certain ways and make certain decisions, and this has effects in the body, right? And the body will respond in certain ways. And like how I was saying, like the cell is like, okay, we have enough energy here and it's trying to share, but then all the cells, we don't need it. And the whole system's overflowing with blood sugar. Well, we call that diabetes. Well, when we start just unwinding that, right? Run it all in reverse. Undo the steps and get back to the root level. Stop the processed food, open up the fasting space, burn down the blood sugar, stop the insulin pressure on the cells. Get to the point where a cell is like, hey, actually, you know what? I could use some glucose around here. Like, you know, my glycogen level is coming down in the cell. Like, could I have some? Like, then the insulin resistance naturally goes away. Like the cells taking down the force field, right? And it's like, actually, now is the time. I don't mean to, you know, be needy, but if you find some, I would use some glucose now. I just think the cell is such a kind thing. This is how I try to think about it. It wants to share. It doesn't want to take more than it needs. But when it needs it, okay, it will ask for it. If we want to really revolutionize our treatment of type 2 diabetes, we want to, if we bring it all the way down to the cellular level, we want to thoughtfully, gently, carefully create an environment where the cells of our body say, you know what, I could really use some of that energy now. And then they will use it up and burn it off and run through it. And they'll help bring the system back into balance. Diabetes, the metabolism, the hormones, everything is out of balance. Our bodies are mirroring the society. This is how I feel about it. Our society is completely out of balance. Our healthcare system is out of balance. Can we bring ourselves back into balance, right? And as we do that, this is why I say we don't need legislation, we don't need politics and these sort of things. We need to, all of us together, bring our health back into balance. Fasting is a path that can do that, along with diet, exercise. People with type 2 diabetes should not be prevented from exploring this process. We should develop systems and methods to help expand the ability of these practices to help people. From totally out of control to control, yes, managing much better, absolutely. But then the ideal outcome, a cure that is accessible. Yes, this is what we need, a cure that is accessible and free. Think of a free practice